Mr. Thomas,
Morning.
thank you for joining us. So the first question I have for you is, what is the Worth Less campaign?
The Worth Less campaign has been put together by head teachers across West Sussex in recognition of the fact that there are differential funding levels for pupils in schools across the whole of the UK.
Okay.
So for example, in West Sussex we get just over £4,000 per student. In other parts of the country they get significantly more than that, in some cases more than £5,000 per student. And so we were interested to work out why the government felt that students in West Sussex were worth less than students in other parts of the country.
Okay. So what came to that? What was their answer? Do you know?
The answer really is that it's to do with historic funding. So there were high levels of deprivation in other places, for example in London, and in the past there have been heavy investments in trying to raise educational standards in other parts of the country. The London Challenge was a good example of that, and that's been largely successful. However, the government also recognised that that is perhaps now an out-of-date formula and it needed changing to be updated, which is what they've done.
Okay. So how much is the schools actually losing in West Sussex?
It actually varies, and it's a complicated response to that, because in some parts of the country schools are gaining, and other parts they're not. So, for example, TLA itself has a funding increase of 2%. However, that's got to be put into context with a number of other things. One of which is the rate of inflation, which is about the same. Also, at TLA, we're looking at significant cuts to the amount of grant funding we actually get from the government. So, for example, our budget is going from just about £7.5 million per year to less than £7 million per year. So even though the funding overall is increasing, there are real cuts to our budget when you factor in costs increases. Things like national insurance contributions, pension contributions, and the living wage. So what that means is across the country, schools are looking to make cuts in real terms of about £3 billion.
So you say the schools in West Sussex are losing money differently. So there's no set money like for each school. It's all completely different.
It's based on per pupil funding.
Okay.
So you get a set amount for each student that is in your school. So that's really how the funding is determined. The Department for Education is right in saying that there is more education money available. There's more money in education than ever before. But there are also more children in education than ever before, and we're facing higher costs than ever before. So even though the total amount of money is going into schools is increasing, the amount per student is decreasing.
Okay. So how do you think the schools in West Sussex will be affected by the national funding formula now?
Broadly speaking, every school in the county is looking at a real terms cut. And so what that means as head teachers is we have to decide where those cuts will be made. And the implications of that are possibly larger class sizes. It could be fewer teachers. It could be that we ask teachers to teach more, but students actually have less contact time. What it could mean is that we choose not to invest in hard projects such as IT infrastructure. And it could mean that we spend less on educational resources for our students.
Okay. Now there are things battling this a lot in the West Sussex. Can you please tell me what the Worth Less campaign is and what they do?
That's what I said at the beginning.
That's what you said at the beginning.
Yeah.
Wonderful then. Apart from that, that's it. We're all done here.
Okay, thank you for your
Short and
time.
sweet. Thank you for your time.
Yeah.
Cool.